When an elderly, unknown, comatose man is unexpectedly taken to the hospital, a single pigeon kept appearing in his room and perching on his bed. Medical staff reportedly chased it away, but every day it would return. But why? And where was it coming from? The doctors suddenly noticed something on his leg that would explain everything. One day, a man was brought into hospital. No one was sure how old he was or where he was from, as he was carrying no ID. This wasn't totally unusual, as a person's identification could be verified through other means, but it seemed that this mysterious man was not on any system. He was truly a mystery. But one thing was for sure, he was suffering from a very serious head injury and was unconscious. It seemed that his brain was swelling, which would put pressure on the inside of his skull and result in all kinds of issues, some more medically urgent and some that may potentially last a lifetime. With this kind of thing, it is important to resolve it as soon as possible. While doctors hurried to find out the severity of the injury, they put him into a medically induced coma. This would hopefully stop his brain from swelling and becoming damaged any further. They took blood, ran tests, cleaned him up, and put him comfortably in a room next to a window. The medical staff went off to figure out their next steps, but when a nurse returned, she saw something she was not expecting. A grey pigeon was perched on the unconscious man's stomach. It was a strange thing indeed, but the nurse knew that a hospital was no place for pigeons. They could carry dangerous and harmful diseases, so it had to go. But how did the nurse get it out of the room without it panicking and causing a massive fuss? She quickly closed the door, trapping it in the room. Waving her arms and a clipboard, she ushered the bird out of the window and it gracefully flew off. Crisis averted. The nurse didn't bother mentioning it to anyone though. Hopefully, that wouldn't happen again. These things are bound to happen if you have a hospital bed next to a window, right? The nurse made her checks, took some notes, and ensured that the mystery man was comfortable and his condition had not worsened. When her tasks were complete, she turned around and left the room to tend to her other duties. Several minutes later, she realized she had left her pen and clipboard in the patient's room and returned to retrieve them. But what she saw when she opened the door made her jaw drop open with shock and disbelief. The pigeon was once again there. It was definitely the same bird. The nurse recognized a distinct white marking on its head. Once again, the nurse shooed the bird out of the window, but instead of gliding away as it did before, it just sat on the window ledge looking in. It didn't seem too concerned or afraid by the nurse and unusually transfixed on the comatose man. Again, she shooed it away and hurried out of the room. But this was only the beginning. The pigeon kept coming back. It would sneak in through the window whenever it was open and sit on the man's bed. Sometimes it would walk up and down as if checking on the man. It was a strange sight indeed. The medical staff would of course try to banish the pigeon from the room, but the more it happened, the more they became intrigued with its presence. After all, why was the bird so obsessed with this man? What was it that kept drawing the pigeon back time after time after time? The answer would blow all of their minds. More and more people in the hospital started to notice the pigeon hanging around outside the window or even flying in to sit with the man. No one understood the connection, and even if there was one, the pigeon nor the poor unconscious man would be able to let them know. All of a sudden though, someone noticed an interesting and intriguing clue about the bird. Something was attached to its leg. It was too far away to make out what it was though. In order to get a closer look, they would need to capture the pigeon, so the staff started to devise a plan to trap the bird. The idea they came up with was quite ingenious. The staff left the window open but tied a piece of string to the latch that held it wide. When the pigeon next flew in, the staff would pull the string and release the latch, meaning the window would slam shut and trap the bird in the patient's room. All they had to do then was grab it and take a closer look at what one eagle-eyed spectator had noticed. But pigeons are fast and quick-witted. The doctors would have to move quickly if they wanted to catch it. Pigeons can fly up to 60 miles per hour or just under 100 kilometers per hour. They have lightning-fast reflexes and they can instantly and easily evade anything that tries to capture them, so the odds of actually snaring the bird were stacked against the medical staff. Still, they had to try if they wanted to solve the mystery. The doctor opened the door and quietly entered, but the wily pigeon acted fast and flew towards the open door and into the corridor. People were screaming and running as the stray bird flapped around the room, but the medical staff were all trying to catch the pigeon. They couldn't let it get loose or fly away without capturing it and finding out what was on its leg. They had no idea what was attached to the bird's leg, but somehow everyone knew it was important. After all, why was the pigeon there? Who sent it? Everyone had so many questions that would only be answered by capturing the pigeon. Eventually, the whole hospital was looking for this bird. The doctor hoped that all of these efforts would not be in vain. It was essential that they got hold of the pigeon and discovered its secret. Perhaps it would unlock the mystery of the old man in the coma. Luckily though, one patient with particularly quick reflexes snatched the bird out of the air and gently but firmly held onto it. He brought it over to the doctor, and other medical staff gathered around. What they saw made them all frown. The thing attached to the pigeon's leg was a small vial. The vial contained 2 tiny pills that the doctor recognized to be a kind of medicine. But why was the pigeon flying around with a small tube of medicine strapped to its leg? Around the vial, though, was a small paper note. The doctor unrolled it to read the tiny handwritten words. They read, "This medicine is to save." There were no further words or explanations, just those 5 words. The doctor immediately took the pills to the pharmacist, who studied them closely. It took him a few hours, but the pharmacist was fairly confident that the 2 tablets were a cortisone drug that stopped swelling in the head. Strangely enough, these were the exact symptoms of the comatose man in the hospital bed. An unknown person who wanted to save the old man's life sent the pigeon, but nobody could believe it. If the tablets were wrong, though, there was a chance that the comatose man would never wake up again, dying there and then on the bed. However, doctors were out of treatment options, so they saw these 2 tablets delivered by the pigeon as their last hope. They could just be the man's salvation. They administered the cortisone drug, held their breath, and waited. Within half an hour, the man showed positive signs. The swelling in his brain had started to go down. He was beginning to wake up and was at long last on the mend. But the most mysterious thing of all is that the bird never returned after the accident. Once the tablets were delivered, the pigeon completely disappeared, never to be seen again. Pigeons might often get a bad rap, but they are intelligent and clever. This is why they were used during the war to deliver messages, and in this case, a pigeon was used to save an old man's life. So now it's over to you. What do you think of this incredible story? What do you think about pigeons? Are they a nuisance, or are they a useful, intelligent, and potentially life-saving animal? As always, we love to hear from you, so be sure to leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below.